Welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm Baruch, host of Paradigms. Thanks for tuning in. Got a really great group on the episode. This is a jazz trio, bass, drums, piano, amazing. They've got a new record out, and we're going to talk about the songs and the music and just fun. So, let's meet my guests on this episode of Paradigms. I'm very happy to welcome Sherrie Maricle, Jackie Warren, and Amy Shook, 3D Jazz. Welcome to Paradigms.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're excited.
I'm really excited. I just listened to your beautiful new record, 9 to 5, and I have to say, I found myself smiling the whole way through. It was really just light and fun and musically complex, but completely accessible. I really loved it. It's a great record.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's such a good description.
I know, yeah.
How we felt while recording it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. You captured it.
Yeah.
I suspected as much. The three of you are each accomplished musicians in your own right. You perform with different groups. You teach music, all three of you. And here you have this trio, 3D, which I think it's just about having fun, isn't it? Aren't you all just having fun?
That's a big motivating factor in everything we do, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, this is something, and I know that Jackie and Amy will have a lot of comments on this as well, but many times the way that we approach it is it's so collaborative, and all three of our hearts are so open wide to like whatever the other two bring to the musical situation, but it's all with such strong positivity and like with a unified musical mind. And in no way that diminishes ever the serious nature of what we're performing.
Oh,
and I think,
no.
I mean, I'm saying that because a couple of times people have said to us, oh, like it's frivolous, or you're having too much fun, or that, and not really understanding how, like you said, to use your words, complex some of the music and arrangements are, and how fortunately we've, studied this our whole entire lives to be able to have the freedom to express joy through the music.
Yeah, it sounds and looks easy because of that time spent.
We could make
just
more
like
frowny faces, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, each voice is very distinct. I mean, Sherrie, your percussion work, it's a voice. It's not just like they're giving us a little rhythm in the background. You've got something you're saying through it. I mean, your brushwork, it's all really very personal, and my goodness, Jackie, your piano is like holy moly, and Amy, your bass playing is completely, I mean, you're really all so working together, and each such a unique voice. I've listened to a lot of music, this has it's special. Anyway, I won't keep saying that.
No, go ahead.
Well, something that I feel like, and it's, we always try to, when we're playing music with anybody, any great musicians, we're always trying to be as supportive as we can and not have it be about ourselves. But the thing is, I personally, with these two gals, I always feel like they're always listening to me, and that we're always listening to each other. And the conversation, I think, has such incredible depth because we're all very present in that way.
Yeah.
We're all taking our turns at different times, but even in the midst of that, I don't feel like at any time any of us is just kind of checking out and just, playing. I feel like every note is an investment, which doesn't always happen, even with the greatest musicians. I think we can all speak to that, The
3D Jazz trio, Jackie Warren, Amy Shook, and Sherrie Maricle. We'll be back with the next part of this conversation, but first we're going to hear some music from the 3D Jazz Trio's new record, 9 to 5. I Only Have Eyes for You. You're listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life. I Only Have Eyes for You. We know that song, but what a really wonderful rendition of it from the 3D Jazz Trio. And now let's get back to my conversation with drummer Sherrie Maricle, bassist Amy Shook, and pianist Jackie Warren, 3D Jazz Trio. I'd like to talk a little bit about the tracks.
Okay.
Some of them they're familiar to us. Most of them are familiar to at least some of us. You obviously bring your own treatment to each one. And I'm sort of jumping around here, but I have to say, okay, you start out with I Only Have Eyes for You. And then I kept hearing that phrase in the other tracks. Am I crazy?
The melody or the bass line?
The melody. I kept hearing that I Only Have Eyes for You piece of melody line. I heard it in the...
Wow.
I kept hearing it. Now, maybe it's just me, but...
I don't know. We have to go back and listen now. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It created this thread of continuity because you're listening to the whole record and each song is, and then here's this phrase again, and it's bringing me back and it's bringing me through each of the songs I just heard. And then we go back to, and then here it is again. So maybe I just made it up. Maybe it's something magical that y'all did that you didn't realize you did, but it created this thread through the record.
That's cool.
That's very cool. I mean, you're the first one to make that comment. That
I know.
Now I've got to listen again.
I know. Did it happen?
It's just beautiful. But what inspired these choices?
There's songs that we like, basically.
Yeah. Some of the tunes are arrangements that we had been working on, like workshop over a period of many years even, I think I Only Have Eyes for You, I might have brought in, I don't know, 3, maybe more years ago, we would try something out and, and same with 9 to 5. That was one that we had tried playing in different versions of it until it became what it is on the album, And Sherrie's sing, man, that was originally a very different concept.
Yeah, totally.
Jackie with Lágrimas Negras. Jackie can speak to that, why we wanted to do that.
Well, we wanted to do that because we were supposed to go to Cuba to play at a festival in 2020. And of course, we already had our tickets, everything was going to be cool. And then, of course, the bottom fell out of the earth and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but that's that particular tune is a standard. Every time I go to Cuba, it's called on every session and whatever. So it's I wanted us to have something like that to play because I had taken a previous disc down there and the director of the festival was like, oh my God, you got to bring the 3D Jazz Trio. So we had to learn a couple Cuban standards.
Yeah.
It was really great. It was really great. 9 to 5, I mean, the title track. I hope Dolly gets to hear this because I know that she will be. I had this image of her just sitting in there, tapping her foot, grooving to it.
That would be awesome.
So I really hope she's in the middle of making a rock and roll record right now in Nashville, but
wow.
she had Debbie Harry in the studio. So, but it's just something about hearing familiar stuff given a new treatment with this kind of enthusiasm. It's not someone, well, I have to cover this, by rote. It's enthusiastic. It's loving.
I think that's always the motive, where we artistically develop and, like we were saying, try this music, and then sometimes it doesn't feel right at all, and then suddenly you play it, and then because we're evolving constantly as artists, and then the music feels great, and then that's the time we choose to make another recording, because we don't just fly into it we have to do these recordings once a year. If it's not moving to us creatively, then we don't do it. So we wait till it feels good. But actually, something that we never played before is Jackie's original theme for BT. And we played that song in the studio, and I was leaping out of my skin with happiness, how awesome it was. It's Warren, why'd you hide this tune from us, man? It was so good.
Yeah.
It's just, you want to get up and dance. What is the story with that song? Who's BT?
He's my cat, and he should have joined us by now, but
I was waiting for him.
I know, he's gotten lazy on Zoom interviews lately. I don't know.
So used to it now.
He's sleeping, but usually he's more bounding around and whatnot. And I actually wrote that song during the pandemic for, we had some radio thing that we had to come up with original music only. So I'm like, okay, I'll write this tune. And I wasn't sure what I was going to call it. And of course, BT, which stands for Brown Tabby, joined that interview. And the interviewer's like, well, you should call this theme for BT. So I was like, oh, it's perfect. It is him. So
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of those, for me anyway, I don't know about you. Well, Jackie, you already knew the tune, but we started playing it and I was like, this is so great. Expected, because it wasn't something planned and something that we actually just great.
Exactly.
Well, that phrase, tickle the ivories, really describes the way you play, Jackie.
thank you. I try as I can.
I mean, I've used the word fun a lot. I interview a lot of people. Music is incredibly magical and transformative, and one of the greatest things. It's not always fun. It doesn't always make one smile. So that's worth remarking upon, and especially nowadays. Everyone's talked about the immense fatigue people feel from COVID, from the brutal politics we've been experiencing that are still going on. This has been a rough number of years, and having things that lift our spirits is not frivolous. It's necessary. It's important.
Yeah.
So that's what this record is about to me.
For us too, we make music together because we really love it. It's about doing that for other people, and the listeners, certainly when we want to elevate everyone who hears us, but we're also really elevating each other in that, We often talk about our origins. At the beginning of our collaboration, it was actually as the rhythm section for the great Maurice Hines and for his show. We knew from the very first note that we had played together in rehearsal that we needed to keep playing. And so we just it wasn't even something that we talked about. It just was happening, where we were showing up at least an hour or more before the show started to just play before the show, and not play the music of the show necessarily, but just to, play music together just because it felt so good, and
yeah.
And I think that is really probably, one of the main reasons why we started playing in the first place, is because it felt good, You know how it is a lot of times. Time goes by and you get into your work, and you don't think about, oh yeah, this is still supposed to be fun. I'm still supposed to have that lightheartedness about it. And that's one of the things I think that really drew us together in the first place, was that mutual understanding or feeling of that.
I hope you're enjoying my conversation with 3D Jazz Trio. Really fun people and just fantastic musicians. We'll be back with more of this conversation after we hear another track from their new record, 9 to 5, Lágrimas Negras. Lágrimas Negras. That's 3D Jazz Trio from their new album 9 to 5. And we'll be listening to more of this music, but here's the next part of my conversation with Amy Shook, Sherrie Maricle, and Jackie Warren. I would love to know from each of you a little bit your personal story, how you got to be a jazz artist.
Well, I'm the senior member of the group, so I will go first. I've been doing it the longest.
Yes.
Well, when I was a kid, I saw Buddy Rich play when I was 11 years old and his killer force, and it completely transformed my life. I was in the balcony. I never heard jazz before. Music teacher took me, and every hair on my body stood on end. And I was just mesmerized, paralyzed, and riveted at what I was hearing. And I had no clue what it was. And that's all I ever wanted to do since I was 11. And here I am.
And here you are, 10 years later.
10 years later. Yeah. When I did tell my mother, I ran home and I said, Mom, I'm going to play drums and I love big band and I love jazz. And she thought I was completely crazy and patted me on the head and like, hopefully it's just a phase. It wasn't.
God, that's cute. Yeah.
Well, since I'm the second oldest, I'll go next.
Uh-huh.
I am from Colorado, from a very small town where the music choices are not many. They're like heavy metal or sort of religious music stations, if there's anything, and or hard rock, which is cool. I mean, I dig some Led Zeppelin, and all that. So, so I would listen through the television, whatever's coming through the television. And of course, the Charlie Brown specials were some of my favorite things. And I didn't realize that was a jazz trio. So I was already getting primed. But then I started taking piano lessons from a woman in the big city in Colorado Springs. And she played me my first Oscar Peterson recording on a reel-to-reel. And I was like, struck by lightning. That's it. It's all over, So here we are.
Love it.
I like that analogy, struck by lightning, because that is what it feels like. I was singing in my jazz choir. I had been playing violin for about, I don't know, maybe 5 years. And I was singing in the jazz choir in Idaho. And we were at the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival. And every night there would be these massive evening concerts with literally the A-list of jazz. I saw Carmen McRae and I saw Dizzy Gillespie and I saw, I can just go down this litany of unbelievable artists that I've seen there. But this one particular concert, there was the Ray Brown Trio. And it was Gene Harris on piano and Ray Brown on bass, of course, and Jeff Hamilton on drums. From note one, like Jackie said, I was struck by lightning. I didn't know what I was hearing. I hadn't started playing bass at that point, but I just knew that I wanted that. Whatever that was what I wanted. I don't know how to get it, but that is amazing. And it was during the time right before they recorded their Live at the Loa album called Summer Wind. And there was a tune on there called The Real Blues that Ray played, which was just like this real greasy, blues thing on the bass. And I had no idea how he was doing it, or, and I spent years trying to figure that out just because I didn't know anything, But the following year, the bass player that was playing in the combo accompanying the choir was going to high school. So there was going to be a vacancy in the jazz combo. And so the choir director asked for volunteers and I'm like, pick me. So then I started trying to figure out how to play the bass. And yeah, the end. And here I am.
You hear jazz trios and you hear stand-up bass. Mostly it's plucking, not bowing. And you do some bowing, which was lovely to hear.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I guess that I'm hearkening back to my violin days. I mean, it's still my violin days, just not as often. But yeah, my friendly whale days.
It's your friendly whale days.
I had a friend who was a stand-up bass player named Ellen Powell. People listening to this in Vermont will remember her, and she was amazing. She's passed. But she, I knew her from the 80s on, and she was one of those people. She had to stop playing stand-up at a certain point. She got older, and it was harder.
It's physical.
It's really physical, but it's so, and I just want to, we haven't said this yet, but really it's a little unusual to have a trio of women playing this music, which is really like, right on, like, it's awesome. And the music world has its own political issues around equality and opportunity. And so it's really great to see the three of you making your mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a previous conversation about the music that we play too, regarding the 9 to 5 recording, it was dawning on me that with our inspiration for each of the arrangements and everything, but it is really is rooted in something really emotional, I think, and music and artistic, but mostly like what Amy and Jackie were both saying, to bring joy to people. Like none of us goes into a musical endeavor thinking, look how clever my chart is, or like, look how complicated this harmony is, or look at this or that. It's just like, we're just finding music that we love, and it could be really complicated or it could be really simple. Like, it's the motivating factor is, and I was thinking about some other groups I work with, and sometimes it's like, the harder the music, the better. Look, it's in every meter under the sun, and chords no one ever heard of, major sevens,
B knuckle flat.
But I thought it was just, I was just thinking about that. That is true we've never even discussed it before, but I think we're just also like-minded and kindred spirits with the artistry and how to express it and what the meaning of it is. Not to be complex, it's just to bring joy to people and ourselves.
Well, it's interesting to have music full of blue notes be uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
The other song I wanted to talk about is There Is No Greater Love, which I think most of us are familiar with that from Billie Holiday, and other vocalists have covered it, but really Billie Holiday is the seminal version in my book. So listening to that was also bringing me back to this discovery of her music a million years ago and how moving that was. So I don't know, just enjoyed the choice of material so much.
That song, Jackie just started the intro once. I forgot where you first did it.
It was at the Gilmore, wasn't it?
Yeah, just common rhythms in the world, but the way that Jackie was playing it. And that tune is a standard we played a billion times. Yeah, but it just felt so different the way it was all set up. So we're like, let's play this. We love this. It probably wouldn't be a song if we were really thinking, we wouldn't call that song, but it just spontaneously came out when the way that Jackie set it up just made it feel amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of had recorded it before with a saxophone player, and then that was the vamp I set up for him. I'm like, man, this would be fun to play with the trio. Like, the sax player was cool and everything, but I'm like, I need a trio.
Have you ever been part of a team that worked so well together, that loved working so well together, that synergized the way these three people do? 3D Jazz Trio. We'll be back with the final part of my conversation with Amy, Jackie, and Sherrie after we hear a couple more tracks from their new record, 9 to 5. Here's Sing. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life. There is no greater love. Isn't that just a beautiful rendition of such a great song? That's 3D Jazz Trio from their new record 9 to 5. Before that we heard Sing. And now here's the final part of my conversation with Amy Shook, Jackie Warren, and Sherrie Maricle. Are you all playing out as a trio? Is that something anyone gets lucky enough to attend?
Yeah, as many places as we can, as often as we can. It goes in waves because we all live in different cities.
Right.
We probably we'd probably get together too much and hang out and play. If we all lived in the same town, we'd never get anything done.
Probably true.
I'm glad that happens. The other thing I wanted to ask was about the recording. Over the period of the pandemic, people have had to find all kinds of different ways to record, not necessarily invent them. I mean, recording separately and mixing is not a new thing, but getting to actually record together became a rarefied special event. Did you guys get to record this together, or was this done remotely?
Oh,
together.
Absolutely together.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is that whole remote recording thing, even though like the end product seems like a musical experience, it's not really. It's like everybody's playing their part, but nobody is interacting or playing with each other. It's, there's the engineer, whoever puts it together makes it a musical event, but like in the moment, it's kind of anti-music in a way, and the artist is the engineer at that point, Yeah, I can't imagine. And there was so many things that happened in the moment on the recording that we couldn't duplicate if we tried, much less trying to like create that individually and remotely. And it would be a funny experiment.
Different kind of magic.
Because of Amy said how we do our attention is so riveted to each other, and we listen, so just very natural to do that anyway. But if we were together, it would be impossible to play the way that we play.
Yeah.
We're non-responsive, and we're very responsive to each other.
Yeah,
which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
We did quite a few tours during the pandemic where I would drive my car to Philadelphia area or wherever, and then we would, go and do a live stream for nobody, no live audience. And then I would drive home after, we'd have our mask tour, and then that would be it. It was very strange. It was great to play together, but very strange to not play for live folks.
Yeah.
Very weird.
To not have that exchange of energy, because that really is a huge part of what we do, is having that exchange of energy with the listener, making that connection, and to not have that coming back is so strange.
But we are grateful for the live streams that we did do from a great studio, Blue House Productions, and actually ended up with some really wonderful video that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise. Just that this singular person really kept a lot of live music going through his studio, and it was really a great blessing. We had 2 recordings that came out during the pandemic, and we couldn't tour with any of them, so it was really painful.
And the videos on YouTube are really great to watch. And you can see, Jackie's there at her keyboard with her mask on, and, so I really encourage listeners to check those out, because there's nothing like seeing your faces and your bodies as you're playing. And as we hear the music, it adds a whole lot of dimension to it. Mm-hmm. That's why live music is just the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that conversation between the listeners and the players and the players and the players and the listeners and the listeners is what makes it all so enriching and nourishing and just delicious. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things that we miss so much. I think modern society has moved so much towards this individualism with everyone on their own screen and all of that to an extreme. And I think in a way the pandemic reminded people that's not who we are. That's not what we are. We can't actually be fully human in that kind of isolation. Yeah. It doesn't work. So the push towards building community got some good juice from all that. Thank goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think for us, one of the something we've never discussed, but I think when we go to the stage, of course, we're grateful always for the opportunity that people want to hear us, but we really want to bring something special to the listeners, way beyond us being on stage and saying, "Oh, look how great we are! Look at our artistry! Look at our virtuosity!"
Yeah.
And many musicians feel that way.
Yeah.
They're on stage like, "Look at me, I'm great!" Like, and I don't feel like we do that at all. We're just there to have a complete open exchange of love and all the good feels.
Yeah. And some really good laughs.
And laughs.
Yeah.
It's really great. Is there anything you want to say in closing? Don't feel that you have to make some great pithy statement, but I always want to offer.
Well, hopefully people will come and see us, see us live. And I know Jamaica has a great jazz festival, so maybe we'll come to your house for lunch and we come there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we'll make you an
man.
awesome lunch.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
You're reading my
invited.
mind. I was just going to say, we got to get down to Jamaica.
The other Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah.
There.
The other Jamaica.
All right.
Man.
Well, that would be fun.
Our tagline is ferociously and fiercely swinging on purpose with purpose. So we're rooted in the tradition, great jazz tradition of swing. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
That's our direction. Our hearts are fueled by swing.
Yeah.
And the clave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the quarter note.
And the quarter note. Got the Jackie Warren shimmy.
That's right. The Jackie Warren shimmy. Yeah.
You are three very fun people and incredibly brilliant musicians. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for talking with me and bringing us your energy and the energy that comes through you and the music. Just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Jackie, Amy, Sherrie, thank you so much for being on Paradigms. Really great to talk with you. Completely enjoyed the conversation and love your music. This new record, 9 to 5, is just exactly what you intended it to be. It's uplifting, it's beautiful, it's fun, and we need that. One of the most important things that I got out of the conversation, though, is that when they're playing, they listen to each other. We'll talk more about listening in a moment. So, if you enjoyed hearing their music and the conversation, you could check them out at their website, 3djazztrio.com. There's lots of information there about Jackie, Amy, and Sherrie, and about their music, and some really cool videos, really fun stuff. So check them out, 3D Jazz Trio. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode of Paradigms, I hope you'll check out our archive at the Paradigms website, paradigms.life. You can also find Paradigms wherever you find your podcasts. Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, all those places. Paradigms has a Patreon campaign going to help pay the bills, patreon.com/paradigms. I hope you'll check it out and become a patron. We really appreciate the support. All the Paradigms episodes in the last few weeks have had one thing in common, which is encouraging people to listen to each other, listen to ourselves, listen to the world around us. I think what Jackie, Amy, and Sherrie show us is that in their world, with their art, listening to each other helps them to create this amazing music that's more than just, oh, it sounds good, it feels good. So I think we'll let that be the word for the week. Listen. Let's take time to listen to the people around us and the world around us and the world inside us. What can we learn? And how can we work better together if we really listen to each other? All right, I am going to leave you with one more track from 3D Jazz Trio's new record, 9 to 5. It's the title track, Dolly Parton's great hit, 9 to 5. Baruch signing off for Paradigms. We'll see you next time with more inspiring people. Until then, listen, and be well. You've been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.